What up, guys? Welcome back to JAWS with Jason and Ashley Wahler. So this last week was very, very crazy. We actually got through our first full week of filming, which has been nothing but interesting for sure. But it's been good. Needless to say, though, we finished shooting on Saturday. After we got home, we ended up having to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, fly to Dallas for some other work that I'm doing for my nonprofit. And then we were out there, did a bunch of shooting, celebrated a friend's birthday, came back, and we got home at midnight on Monday. And
Delilah's first day of school was
Tuesday. So we had a call time at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we also highlighted Delilah's first day of school. And then we shot all the way until about 6 p.m. And it's just been a crazy, crazy week. So with that being said, I'd like to talk about balance and boundaries. It's funny how we've talked the last couple of weeks about your balance and boundaries being out of whack, and my stuff has been in place. Well, hate to say it, my program has been completely out of whack this last week. But thank God for consistency and having some form of regiment, because at least today I get to go to therapy and I get to process all this. But how are you doing with all of that, and how's this last week affected you and your program and your health, well-being?
Well, I'm definitely going to a meeting tonight, which will be very, very good. I feel like since we went to therapy and our therapist was talking about me using a generalization about me being busy, I've been much more aware of that and really figuring out and prioritizing my day and what are the things that I definitely need to be doing for me and for my mental health, and then figuring out kind of like an order of what things are the most priority. I will say probably going to Texas was like the worst timing possible. I'm very grateful for the opportunity that we went there, but we were just talking about how busy we were, and then we left for like 24 hours and then came back, and it was the worst timing because Delilah had she really started school on Tuesday, and MTV, well, I don't think I'm allowed to say that they wanted to film it, but
Yeah, you can.
Okay. We wanted to highlight her first day of school because that's really what's going on in our life. It was just so chaotic. She had to have her physician's report, and I had forgotten to do that. So it was just one thing on top of another. But it's crazy because I do feel like I've been more aware of my mental health, and so I've been trying to make the steps to make sure I'm doing that. Like yesterday we communicated, and I had done a lot of stuff for Delilah yesterday, and I really wanted to go to a workout class just to do a little bit of me time, and I went to the class, but the teacher didn't show up. So I just feel like that's God's way of telling me maybe I didn't need to go to that workout class. So.
Not only that, but I think it's the fact that you made the effort to go, and it shows, at least it shows on my end, that you're wanting to take better care of yourself. So I think that was a big thing for me, is even just taking direction and taking actions is, I think, the biggest thing for me, is because Ashley liked to talk a lot about what was going on and what was wrong the last few weeks, but now it's taking action and actually her implementing it. And she's gonna today, correct me if I'm wrong, you're gonna you're after you drop Delilah off at school, you're gonna take a little bit of time and go hang out with some friends and and be able
which is something I never do. I have a really hard time making girl time, but I really need it. I feel like it's so necessary to make time for friends, and I've been wanting to meet up with one of my girlfriends who just had a baby forever, and our schedules just didn't work out, but I prioritized it and made sure that we're gonna at least have coffee and just connect. And sometimes it's good to disconnect from like everyday life and connect with somebody that's a mom and that goes through kind of the same struggles as being a mom.
I think it's finding a balance with everything. You know what I mean? I think that we're aware again of all the chaos that's happening right now, and we could either continue going down that pattern and have the domino effect happen where we get to complete burnout. I mean, because I was pretty burnt out, but thank God today I have made it a priority to connect with a couple guys. Make sure I'm going to therapy. I'm gonna go to the gym. But before, the pattern was we'd get in this cycle. It was just basically a tornado, and we'd keep staying in it, and it'd be to the point where we're arguing, we're not present for each other, we're not present for ourselves, we're not present for our kid. So it's awesome to be able to see the growth, because it's always going to be it's going to be like a stock market. It's going to go up and down, and we're just trying to make it so it's more consistent, so it can be more balanced across the way. But something that I've been doing too, that I think would be really helpful if you guys, are wanting to look at, like, what are, doing like a pie graph. Somebody taught me this. Is actually your uncle brought this to me. It was a pie graph of the 8 most important things. So like literally draw a circle and then cut it into eight segments. and highlight the 8 most important things in your life, and basically, so for me, it was, family, my sobriety, work, outdoor activities, whatever it may be, list 8 things and basically start filling it in scale it from 1 to 10. And you can start to see, how much work you need to put into other areas. At first, when I did it, I was like a 2 in some places and I was an 8 in others. You'll never be a 10 unless you're full of it to yourself. But it was cool to be able to actually see on a picture where it's like, I need to balance that 8 to that 2 so I can at least have like a 6 and a 4, know. And so it's like to balance it out. And I do that every so often just so I can really kind of see where my it's visualize it. So that's something that I'm actually going to do today as well. I do it every few months to kind of just see where it is, and then I compare and contrast with the ones that I've done before, and it's been really helpful. But also something that's really cool that's happened is yesterday as well as I went and met with my mentor and did a lot of starting a list of amends and making relieving a lot of my resentments and stuff. So excited to do that. You're definitely on that list along with many others, but it's it's cool to be able to take ownership and see what areas that I need to take fault in, and it's cool because even though the balance has been crazy, it's like it's nice again just repeating that it's so important when you have consistency or some form of regiment and program that it's if you schedule stuff out, it's going to fall into place, and as long as you keep that your number one priority, you're not going to overschedule it. So it was amazing to be completely exhausted, getting towards burnout yesterday, and then to be able to meet with my mentor, and then to have all the stuff that I have set up today.
That's good.
So it's exciting.
So I just have a question for you. So for instance, we have very unique jobs. We both own our own businesses. We both kind of not create our own schedules, but we have the flexibility, whereas maybe most people don't have the flexibility. They have their 9-to-5 job. So how would you implement some sort of self-care? Would you suggest that somebody get up earlier in the day, plan it throughout your day? Because we're luckily today, because you've been burnt out, you get the opportunity where you can take a U day.
Well, there's pros and cons to that though, because I think if there was some because I've had 9-to-5 jobs and I've worked at other businesses and stuff, and I sometimes think that's better because you kind of know your schedule, your schedule, and your consistency. Because even though we make our own time, helping people out and being there when somebody calls, it comes on their terms. So it's almost kind of like I'm on call for a lot of the stuff I do. I mean, yes, for the foundation stuff and for the podcast and for filming. I mean, that's not even consistent. I mean, it's filming. We get a shoot schedule a week ahead of time, and then it's like boom, boom, boom. Then you kind of have to plan around that, and then you have to plug in what I'm doing for my organization and being the director of marketing for the Red Songbird Foundation. So I think for both, so I mean, it's regardless. So going back to your question, I think there is pros to having a 9-to-5 because you do have that. And it's, for me, I'm able to take the time to reflect on what, and take a day off. But I think anybody is allotted that, if they have a 9-to-5 and they're really at a burnout. I mean, you guys have sick days, you have other things. I think it's taking advantage and prioritizing that. A lot of people like to do that, to do fun activities and stuff, take it for yourself. But
I also feel too, just to talk about it, I feel like when you have such a busy schedule, the thing that I forget to do a lot is just communicate with you. Even yesterday, I was hesitant because I know you had been gone all day, but to ask you to support me so that I could go to that workout, that's kind of what I was wondering.
Well, yeah, but it's communication is key. So if you have a significant other or a close friend, family member, whatever it may be, is without communicating. If I was completely burnt out, I'd be like, Ashley, we both need to just come home, and we both need to you need to equal it out, and we both need to take care of Delilah. But I was actually, thank God for all the stuff that like I said, I was able to decompress yesterday with my mentor, so I was able to come home and and I wanted to spend, I haven't seen Delilah for 2 days, so I wanted to spend as much time as I possibly could with her, and so I took her to the park and did those things. But without communicating, you can't know. And I think that's the thing on your part is when I was in my active addiction, is you didn't like to communicate with me because you were just so fearful of what was going on, let alone did you want me to, look after Delilah, just because you didn't know what state of mind I was going to be in. So you got the 9-to-5, going back to that. I know we kind of went down a rabbit hole. Is my suggestion is taking a few days, no matter what, and implementing going to, see a therapist, going to a meeting, going outside for a walk. I mean, just kind of set those up and just start small. Even if you're not doing it once a week, just put it in there once a week. You don't have to list it out 4 times throughout the week because you're basically going to potentially set yourself up for failure. I noticed that. It's like when I relapsed and I want to get sober, I'd change everything. I'd have this long thing, and then it was like 2 days later, I was like, I couldn't even fulfill that. So now I feel even, worthless more so. So I think it's just implementing little things, and once you get consistent with that, you can add another thing. And that's for me. What are some of the things that you have that are consistent in your life and your schedule that you can't give up?
I mean, meetings for sure are very, very important to me. And even though sometimes I have to switch it if I can't go to that Wednesday meeting, which I know I had that week where it was just like a disaster, I started figuring out a different meeting, which is really difficult for me because I really hate change. It used to be always negative, and I'm learning that sometimes change can be very positive. So implementing that change is important for me. Working out, and then I'm really trying to implement more of that community. That was like kind of my 2020 goal, where we had spoken about that, like really plugging ourselves into a church that we believed in and really doing more of a sense of community. And that for me is something that I'm really looking forward to in.
So it's nothing crazy though,
people.
you know what I mean?
It's
you know where you're at, and you're meeting yourself where you're at. And I think for me is being around and actually having a long-term sobriety back in the day in 2010 and on, I remember what worked and what didn't. So like for me is like I wake up and I do my morning meditation. I do a little gratitude list. I'm not 100% perfect with it, but I'd say 95% of the time.
You always send your gratitude list. You're really good at
it. I keep that consistent, and then it's like I can't get to a meeting like this last week. I'd be BSing you saying like, yo, I go to a meeting every single day. That's not the case. I will be going the next couple of days for sure. But I reach out to a couple guys that are in recovery and that know where I'm at and that can support me and be a tool for me to give me guidance and direction. So I that's something I never ever mess up on, is reaching out to a couple guys in the program. Therapy is consistently every single Thursday, and then if we're in town, I go to church every single Sunday.
Yeah, so, you're very good about church.
So I think that's kind of the takeaway. I mean, we're doing good. We're excited. We have it's Ashley's birthday on Saturday, so we got a little surprise for her. She thinks we just have this little thing at Lost Priestess, but it's going to be nice.
How's that a surprise?
Well, because you have no idea what's going to be there.
You're telling me what's going
you don't know what's going to be there. It may be an elephant. It may be a donkey. It may be...
As long as you're there and my family's there, that's all I care about.
Yeah, we're going to be there. So, hey, guys, have a great week. Much love to you. We'll check in with you next week.
Bye.